the Paul Finebaum Show. And now, Paul Finebaum.
Welcome indeed to the Paul Finebaum Show, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. It is not Paul Finebaum. Booger and Burns filling in for Mr. Finebaum. Peter Burns, studio host of the SEC Network, and Booger McFarland, a man who likes the Gap band, who found out he can still pass for 25 when he shaves his head. All kinds of good stuff that we've learned from you today, Booger. It's been good to get to know you as the person.
Listen, PB, I mean, there are several things that I like. None of them are higher on their list than golf, some good music, some catfish, and some good SEC football, man.
I'm in. Listen, I'm in for every single one of those things. And listen, we're right around the corner. Football season is here. Cancel the vacations. Get down to Birmingham and the Hoover area because SEC Media Days are right upon us. And that's kind of the kickoff, right? I mean, we can all agree that that's when you realize football season has finally gotten here. You can finally get ready to get closer to bringing the kids off to school, hauling them off, because you know on Saturdays, there's not many other Saturdays left in this summer that you're going to look at it and go, you know what, there's not football being played. And me and Booger and Dari Noka and Marcus Spears and Finebaum and the whole crew are going to be out there broadcasting live from the SEC Network and the SEC Media Days. And the player list, the attendees got released today, and I was a little shocked that we only had 5 quarterbacks overall that were making it. One of those quarterbacks is Matty Mock of the Missouri Tigers. And Stephen St. Louis here on the Paul Finebaum Show wants to know why we keep going down on why we keep down ranking the Mizzou Tigers. What's going on, Steve?
It's like a broken record, guys. I call this station. It's disrespectful to Gary Pinkel, for one. It's also disrespectful to my entire family that went to Mizzou. If you looked at the offensive line that we're training, I noticed the number of NFL defensive linemen that aren't in your 5 stars, that aren't out of Florida and Texas and Georgia. You know, they grow players in Missouri, too. And the reality is they just keep loading the NFL with these players, and all you guys do is look around and go, what happened? Who's that guy? Where'd he come from?
But, Steve, shouldn't you love this? Shouldn't you absolutely love that no one's talking about your team? Because the last 2 years, no one spoke about the Missouri Tigers, and everyone talked about how, well, are they really a part of the SEC? Have they got there? What did they do? They just whooped up on everybody. So what would you rather, the hype before or the hype after the season?
I like the hype. I'll take it either way. That's fine. But if you look at their offensive line, you look what they do with their defensive line. They bring Hansborough back at running back. They bring Matty Mock at quarterback. They look at their secondary. It's going to be the best it's been in years. And you look at their linebacker core. Their only question is wide receiver. So I don't know what you and Booger and everybody else is doing besides talking to Bubba and whoever down in Alabama. But Gary Pinkel will do it again. He'll win with 2- and 3-star players. Like he won in the Big 12, he went to three Big 12 championships. If you guys noticed, the last 5 years he was there. I mean, I'm not comparing us to Alabama. I'm not saying we're going to beat them, but it's like a broken record. Oh, it's going to be Alabama and Georgia in the final.
You should.
It gets old, guys. It gets old.
If what you're saying, hold on now. Now, if what you're saying is true, and you're saying I'm not going to say we're going to beat Alabama, but I want the credit, shouldn't you be beating your chest and saying we are going to beat Alabama? We are going to beat Auburn. We're going to be the best damn team in the country because no one's giving us the credit. You just gave me the resume for the Missouri Tigers, did you not? And you're saying you don't give the credit, yet here you are, Missouri Tigers super fan, saying, well, I'm not saying we're going to beat Alabama. Why the change in the attitude if you're going to beat your chest on this team?
Well, because I've gone to both the last 2 SEC championship games, just like I went to the Big 12 ones when we played in that, and I can't defend our record in that game until we kick that door down. I don't want to just sit here and blow hot air. The reality is that I went to Mizzou in the mid-'80s when they were that school was a cesspool for about 10 years. Prior to that, with Dan Devine, we won an awful lot. But Gary Pinkel put that program on the map. Gary Pinkel's the best coach in the SEC. He's better than Saban. He's better than any of them. What he has done at the University of Missouri, and you guys showing him zero respect every year, is disgusting. He graduates his kids, he wins, and he wins with 2- and 3-star players because he knows how to develop talent. And you guys, again, are asleep at the wheel. So
I completely agree with you on Missouri. I spent 3 days in Missouri this year. I called Missouri spring game.
Spring training game.
Right. I got an opportunity to sit down and talk to Coach Pinkel, to talk to Coach Cool. I visited with Charles Harris, Marcus Loud. I understand what Mizzou Made is all about. Okay, I got that explained to me, and I saw it firsthand. So you're right when you say sometimes they don't get the respect that they deserve, and if I were you, I'd rather have it in the postseason than the preseason. But let's look at the realistic facts on the table. Okay, Matty Mock is one of the veteran quarterbacks coming back in the conference. He's got to play better in the pocket. He's been very erratic. And where Mizzou has made their money at the wide receiver position, they're very inexperienced this year. And now you go to the defensive line. Trust me, I love defensive line play. I think Coach Cool has done a great job. But look at Missouri this year. Harold Brantley, who, in my opinion, was going to be up for Defensive Player of the Year in the conference, he's not going to play this fall, number one. Number two, Marcus Loud has been kicked off the team. So now half of your starting defensive line is not going to be there. So I understand why there's some question marks about Missouri right now, because if you look at what they've been known for, wide receivers and defensive line, those are the two biggest question marks, I think, on the team.
But then they also find themselves in an imbalanced SEC yet once again. Can we all agree that? Can we all agree that's listening that the SEC once again is imbalanced east to west? Booger, do you agree with that? Am I off base here?
Well,
because I look at the SEC West being much more loaded once again, top to bottom, just top to bottom, because I still think Tennessee's a year away. I still think what you're seeing, Florida may be 2 years away. For Florida Gator fans who think that Jim McElwain is going to be able to come in here, you do not quite understand how bare the cupboard is right now and what he's having to do. And I have no doubt that Jim McElwain is going to be able to do that for Florida. I saw it firsthand when I was in Colorado and saw what he did at Colorado State. That was an amazing job in a place that no one can recruit to, yet he was going ahead and do it. But Missouri still finds himself in a 2-year situation to where it's them in Georgia. It's them in Georgia, bud.
Well, if you think about Missouri, I mean, let's call a spade a spade. The reason Missouri may not be getting the respect that they deserve, we've seen Missouri twice in the SEC title game, and let's be honest, regardless of what the score said, the games were never close. Okay? They got manhandled by Auburn up front. And Alabama, the game never, after Shane Ray got kicked out of the game never really materialized. Okay, they had trouble covering Mari Cooper. And so when I look at Missouri, yes, Mizzou Made is phenomenal. They do a great job of player development. What Coach Pinkel does with 2- and 3-star guys, he says, I don't care about stars. You give me talent, I'll develop a guy. They are tremendous with what they do. I mean, it's unbelievable. But the fact is, until they line up in the SEC title game and beat the best from the West, the stereotypical perception is going to be that they just can't hang with the big boy. Yeah, they can beat all the kind of mid-level to lower-level SEC teams for that year, but when it comes to the best of the West, they won't be able to do it. And guess what? Until they do it, that's going to be the perception.
Booger and Burns in here for Paul Finebaum. I'm Peter Burns. He's Booger McFarland. And here is Andy in Indy. Talk about a little Missouri Tigers. What's up, Andy?
Not much, guys. How are you doing today? Thanks for having me.
You got it.
Hey, I'm not a Missouri hater, and I have the utmost respect for what Pinkel's done there, because that guy's right. He does it with less. But I went to Indiana University, and I've watched the cesspool of college football for years, and Indiana went to Missouri this year and beat them. And I got to tell you, they don't deserve any discussion with Alabama, Georgia, or anybody else because they lost to IU in football. And I love my school, but we stink at football, and if you lose at home to Indiana, you got problems. And I'll tell you what else. They lost. I think their other loss last year was at home to Georgia, 38-0. So, take away the SEC championship game. If you want to be considered serious, you can't lose 38-0 at home to one of your divisional competitors.
And here's the deal. And here's the deal, Andy, right? And this is probably what's more infuriating than this information or these phone calls to Missouri fans. It's probably more infuriating to Georgia Bulldog fans. Because it seems like every single year we hear it. This is the year for Mark Richt. This is the year that they get over the hump. Man, they got it. Look, the SEC, Florida's down. Tennessee can't put 80,000 in their stadium any longer. They're going to be firing coaches. Vandy is struggling right now. Oh, here it comes. Yet they can't get over that hump. Yeah, they can beat them, but then no sooner than Missouri loses to Indiana than Georgia will lose a game. What was it, to South Carolina last year, in which they probably should have won because that was Spurrier's worst team that he's seen in a long time. The SEC East continues to baffle me, Booger.
Well, the East doesn't have a dominant team. Florida kind of did it for a little while, but since the quarterback rotation has kind of shifted from, having the veteran quarterbacks in the East to maybe the West over the last couple of years, especially when you had Mettenberger and McCarron and those guys at LSU and Alabama,
right.
The East is kind of up for grabs, okay? Florida is down. Tennessee is everybody's, nice new little hottie coming on the block. Everybody's picking Tennessee, including me, okay? Missouri kind of gets left out because they're not one of the blue bloods, okay? And when we've seen them on the big stage against Alabama, against Auburn, they haven't performed. And so I think this year, Missouri, of all the years that we've kind of quote-unquote left Missouri for dead, I think this is the year where in actuality there may be some truth to that, because at the wide receiver position, where they've had Dorial Green-Beckham and they've had Sasser and they've had all these Jimmy Hunt and all these different guys, they are down this year. I mean, they're more down this year at receiver than I've ever seen them before. And with Harold Brantley getting hurt in a car accident, I'm glad his life is okay, but from a football standpoint, it doesn't look like he's going to play this fall. And now you kick the other defensive end, Marcus Harris, off the team. Marcus Loud. You kick Marcus Loud off the team. So now half your starting lineup is gone. It's going to be tough for them to continue to play at such a high level. But with that being said, because the East is weak, it's still up for grabs.
Still up for grabs. All of these teams still up for grabs. There's some phone lines. I like it because I'm looking at the phone screen right now, and I'm starting to see some of the legends of the Finebaum show, which is what we wanted here when Booger, McFarland, and Peter Burns were in here filling in for Mr. Paul Finebaum. 855-242-7285. That's 855-242-PAUL. Booger and Burns filling in for Paul Finebaum.
Investing in bonds.
Welcome back to the Paul Finebaum Show. It's Booger and Burns filling in for Mr. Paul Finebaum, and that is Booger McFarland there on the, what is that, on the guitar, the keytar? Is that your music, Booger, coming in? You like that little soul funk?
Yeah, come on.
You good with that?
Pure soul funk. That's a good way to put it.
855.
Can you name who that is, PB?
I got no clue. I was going to say Nipsey Russell. No clue. Prince. The artist formerly known as Prince.
Hey, that's your homework assignment. The rest of this segment, figure out who that is.
This?
Yes.
This sounds like something off of a little Soul Train.
Hey, there are a lot of people out there listening right now saying, I can't believe he doesn't know what that is.
I live a sheltered life. I had no clue. Zero clue. D'Angelo. No.
Just let it go.
All right, I'll let it go. 855-242-PAUL. We've been talking about some of the different media days coming up in Birmingham and Monday. My gosh, we're already here. You can already smell the crawfish etouffee outside of Tiger Stadium. We're already getting ready. The Gators ready to go down in Gainesville and all. We're already upsetting Missouri and Alabama fans. And we already get some of the legends of the Paul Finebaum Show, and I see one on the line right now, so let's go to him. Man. Thanks for joining Booger and Burns. What's up?
Booger and Burns, you gotta like that. Sounds like a book.
Hey, we've been called worse, my friend.
And I love the way you're carrying the show, because not once have either one of you thought, I am the senior writer. I really like Ryan, but I think he just stayed 4 hours too long. Because when I called him out, the next thing I knew, right off the top of the senior writer's head, well, I guess Gus is down there drawing up some goofy plays in the dirt. I mean, that's the best shot he's got. Senior writer, the best shot he's got is Gus drawing up a goofy play and how goofy Auburn's going to be. The senior writer, imagine that. And Booger and Burns come on here and they're talking soul funk. If you're going to play some soul funk, just go straight to the heart of the master of the soul funk and put on some Sly and the Family Stone Stand and be done with it.
Some stank. Put it
I
on
love
there.
it, man.
Just be done with it. If you're going to go to the soul funk card, don't go with none of these newbie posers that stand in front of mansions and convertible cars with gold chains. Go to the man that built the mansion and made the gold. That would be Sly Stone. You know, Booger, I like the fact that you picked Tennessee. You went out on that limb. You didn't hesitate. You picked Georgia. You picked Tennessee for the same reason I'm picking Tennessee. Because Georgia, as good a football team as they've been, they've got this thing, they just can't get over the hurdle. The hump, whatever you want to call it. Now, maybe they do that this year because they've got a really good schedule. And I think maybe Georgia's Eastern schedule has hurt them in years past to be prepared for somebody that may be a little more dominating than the competition they've had because the East has been pitiful. And I agree with you on Missouri. Missouri will be there at the end by default because the East is so pitiful. But I think Tennessee's hungry. And I think Tennessee captures Alabama at the right time in Bryant-Denny. We saw Alabama taken to the ropes by Arkansas. We saw Ole Miss beat them. We saw Auburn run up a bunch of points on them. They just didn't have enough defense. And you know what? If Auburn's defense can 3 plays on defense in a ball game, if they can force 2 punts and one of those, and that third one is a turnover, Auburn's going to beat the brakes off of you. And you know, I know that A&M can score some points, but I'm not impressed with Chavis at all. He was at LSU, 3-4 years? And we're talking about LSU, and he had no defense whatsoever, and he's going to go to A&M and make a difference? I don't think he makes any difference. I think A&M is all offense.
Well, I mean, I'm gonna jump in here with you a little bit, and the only reason I can say this is because I followed LSU, having been there, and Chavis was pretty good at LSU from a defensive standpoint.
And I'm not knocking him, but there again, they weren't consistent with what LSU should have been. Would you agree with that?
Yes, you can say that, but some of that had to do with the offensive ineptness that LSU has shown under Les Miles, and so I think from a defensive standpoint, listen, the people in Baton Rouge, some of them were crying when Chavis left. So that lets you know how they felt about John Chavis. Now, some of that is because people in America today are afraid of change. Some of that's because they knew how good the defense had been under Chavis. Now, I will agree with you. Chavis going to A&M doesn't make A&M any better in my book. A&M has to change their mentality along the offensive and defensive line for them to be better. But Chavis will help, but it doesn't necessarily make them better at all.
Well, why do you say that, Book? Well, why do you say that Chavis going to A&M when you think that he's had the tools in LSU, the players to do it? But let's be honest with you, he's got sick and tired. The reason why he left Baton Rouge because he couldn't stand looking at the scoreboard and going, why do we only have 7 points? Why do we only have 10 points? He went to College Station because he says, well, I can coach a defense when they're scoring 35 on that side. But why don't you think that Chavis's plan, do you think it'll take a few years to get there, or you just don't think that he could toughen up that A&M mentality right now?
There's an old saying where I come from, PB, you can't live soft and fight tough. Texas A&M has lived soft for a long time. You want to know how I know that? Because of the style of offense they play. When they go to practice, they don't practice the physicality that they see on Saturdays. They practice this basketball on grass stuff. And what happens when you step up against the big boys, okay, when you step up against LSU and Bama and Auburn, they play big boy football. And if you're not used to that from a mentality standpoint, you can't live soft every day and then all of a sudden step in the ring with Mike Tyson. Oh, it's a different animal. That's the reason why. And last time I checked,
Lester Douglas.
Exactly.
Right. And you got to catch him on that right day.
Exactly.
At the right time.
Exactly.
And I think Les Miles is one of the most underrated coaches in this conference. There's so many people talk about how goofy he is and all that, and I think that's what hurts the mentality of the LSU fans is because everybody's talking about their coach, but that dude is a player's coach. The players love that guy, and I just have all the respect in the world. I like a guy that's willing to gamble and win the ball game, whether he's got the stuff or not. That's what makes the game interesting.
Man, we knew a legend was calling, and you lived up to the hype, man. We appreciate the phone call.
I'm not through.
Hell, I'm going to let you
I don't
go.
think this is Alabama. This may not be Alabama and Auburn's year. This may be more, it could very well be Arkansas. It could very well be Arkansas and Tennessee. I think Auburn's going to be in the mix, absolutely, because I think Auburn is a team to reckon with. I don't know about Alabama. Nobody knows about Alabama. Nobody in the country knows what Alabama's going to do. But we do know this, that Nick Saban is going to shake his hands in unison 3 times from left to right. And you know why he does that? Because he tried at 17 years old to be in the Navy, and they say he couldn't do a damn thing with them flags. Get him back on shore. Guys, have a great day.
Now,
Hi, man, coming in.
PB,
Do it. Yo.
our man is a legend, and people might take him for a joke. Let me lay out a scenario really, really quick where he can have some actual reality to what he said. If you think about the most important position in football, it's a place that Alabama has question marks, Georgia has question marks, and Auburn really, I mean, we've seen one half from Jeremy Johnson, so you got to say that there are a few question marks there. I think that if Alabama doesn't get adequate quarterback play, I don't care what the rest of the team does. If they don't get adequate quarterback play, they're going to struggle. Look no further than LSU. LSU has first-rounders everywhere, but the quarterback position struggles. Therefore, the team struggles. So if Alabama doesn't get consistent quarterback play, furthermore, if Auburn doesn't get consistent quarterback play, then you can have NFL talent everywhere, but the guy that touches the ball every single play, if he can't make at least average decisions, your football team is going to struggle. And Arkansas has Brandon Allen coming back, who's the most experienced starting quarterback coming back in our conference. Okay. Tennessee has Dobbs coming back, who's made, I want to say, 4 or 5 starts. Right. Okay, Kyle Allen started some games. So there are 4 more teams other than Alabama, Georgia, and Auburn who have way more experience at the quarterback position than those 3 teams do.
Booger, and I didn't want to even say this because this is I may not get invited back the next 2 days, but some of you might be okay with that. I think Bama loses 5 games next year. On the other side, I will tell you exactly why.
Somebody checking for a fever.
242 Paul. That is 855-242-7285. Booger and Burns. I'm Peter Burns, SEC Network. That is Booger McFarland. We are in for the Paul Finebaum Show.
This is a
right now, if you know exactly what this song is, at Peter Burns ESPN. You can hit the man up, the DJ himself, at SEC Booger. I'm Peter Burns. He is Booger McFarland. We are in here for the man, the myth, the legend, Paul Finebaum, the next few days. Can you bring that music back? Bring the music back a little bit more, Dan. Someone's going to give it to me. Now I just got to figure it out.
Yeah, one of these segments, I just want you to be able to name the song.
I got no shot on the song. No way. We're getting to the song. I might be able to give you. Oh, here it is. My boy Winston Brown, Winston318 is in here on Twitter helping us out. Says, Earth, Wind, and Fire. Right? Is that correct, Bud? Did I nail that one?
On this song, yes.
There you go. You see? Social media helping. Of course, I probably didn't do any help with saying that Bama was going to lose 5 games, and I'm going to explain that here in just a second. But first, let's get to Chris in Louisiana. Chris, thanks for joining the Paul Finebaum Show. What's up?
Hey, B-Boog, how are y'all guys?
What up, buddy?
Man, Boog, long-time fan, brother. Been listening to you for years. I just have to say this. I heard your caller earlier say that he said that Les Miles was an underrated coach. Am I correct in saying that?
That would be factually correct. That is what a caller had said earlier. That's what just said earlier.
And he is still... Oh, quarterbacks. He has had an issue with quarterbacks over the last... Well, since he's been there. Am I not correct in saying that?
Yes, he has.
Yeah. I was going to try
I mean,
to make a
let's
point
just
for
keep
him.
it real.
Okay, so there has to be a reason he can't get a quarterback that can come in and be a system quarterback. Maybe it's his system that's the problem, and I don't understand how he can be an underrated coach if he can't get a quarterback that will be sufficient for his school. I'm an LSU fan. I've been an LSU fan since I was able to know who LSU was. Can't figure it out. There are a lot of people who are LSU fans who are not Les fans. I'm not the only voice in this one.
And I'll give you the reason why. I'll give you the reason why. Is because Les came after Nick. Okay, and when Nick Saban was there, Nick's first year on the job, he visited every high school in Louisiana, and he kind of put a fence around that state. And the high school coaches vouched for Nick. And I mean, everybody from high school to college were all on board with Nick Saban. And Les isn't as personable as Nick was. And so that lack of personability kind of rubs people the wrong way, number one. And so I can understand why some people are not fans of Les. Number two, when you look at the style of football that LSU plays under Les Miles, it's always going to be defensive football and running game. That's what the SEC is built on. Now, think about if you were a 17-year-old young man. Do you want to go hand off 55% of the time? I mean, because LSU ran the football more than anybody in the conference last year. So do you want to go hand off the football the large majority of the time? And I think that's the problem. That's the Rubik's Cube that LSU faces, is because they've been so good at running the football and they've been so good at playing defense. The perception is they don't throw the football. Well, Alabama was the same way. So what did Nick Saban do? He went hired Lane Kiffin, because I'm going to bring in a coordinator that's known for throwing the football so we can lose that perception. I think LSU has to figure out a way to lose the perception. That way you can keep a guy like a Shea Patterson from Freeport. You can keep him in Louisiana. Instead, he's heading to Ole Miss. They got to get a guy that can deliver the football from the pocket.
But Booger, and Chris, thanks for the phone call. How do you shed that perception? Because the only way you shed the perception is putting a kid like Brandon Harris in and said, okay, kid, let's see what you can do in Auburn. And he didn't even know the plays going into the huddle. I don't think he was ready to play. So if you're Les Miles and you go, I don't have quarterbacks. I just don't have them right now. I know we have to develop them, but if I send them out there and against somebody different other than UL Monroe or Centenary School for the Amish School of Technology, and they're not ready to go, then I'm losing 2 games. I got 2 losses right off the bat, and I already know people aren't exactly excited what's going down in Baton Rouge. It's the devil that he's dancing with right now, and it goes all the way back since Ryan Perrilloux decided that he was not going to walk the straight and narrow path after winning the national championship. Once Perrilloux got kicked off that LSU team, they had to throw in Jarrett Lee right off the bat, and that ruined Jarrett Lee. Jarrett Lee was a wide-eyed 18-year-old freshman, a young kid that went in there and just got taken to task, wasn't quite ready, and it screwed up the entire situation. So if you want to go back, I don't even know if you go back and blame Les Miles. You go back and blame Ryan Perrilloux, who I have no idea if he's still even playing in Arena Football League or Canadian Football League or whatever the hell he's doing right now. That's where you put the blame at, Book.
Well, and see, I'm going to disagree with you a little bit. I think Les has to take some culpability because you're the guy that's recruiting these players. And, you know, when your quarterbacks consist of Anthony Jennings, Brandon Harris, and these guys aren't getting the job done, and that's all you have, like that's the best thing that you have on your roster, then somewhere along the line you failed in recruiting. Somewhere you failed. And LSU, to me, is no different in 2014 than they are in 2015 right now. What's the biggest question you had for LSU going into last year? Quarterback. What's the biggest question you have right now about LSU?
Quarterback, but it may not be just because of what the off-field issues with Anthony Jennings.
Right, but and to me, PB, that's where Les Miles is at fault. When you know where you're weak at, and you go in one calendar year, and you essentially have the same question mark, what have you done for the last 365 days? So I understand the dilemma that's going on in Baton Rouge right now, but until it's solved, LSU has NFL talent everywhere except the quarterback position, and I don't know if I consider Les Miles underrated. Some people said he's overrated. I've never heard him called underrated, though.
855-242-PAUL. That's 855-242-7285. Peter Burns, Booger McFarland filling in for Paul Finebaum. We'll head out to Alabama. Robert, what's going on, man? How you doing? Welcome to the Finebaum Show.
Hey, guys. Boy, I got a problem with this 5-loss comment y'all made. I think that's ridiculous.
Hey. Yeah. First of all, y'all didn't make it. He made it.
Peter Burns made it. I stand by it.
All right. Well, y'all forgot. He forgot about the LK factor, the Lane Kiffin factor.
Okay.
See, even though we've had some new quarterbacks in the years, think about some of the championship years. We started off with a new quarterback, won championships with him. What, 2 times, 3 times? What was it? But 2 or 3, maybe even 4 years, we had new quarterbacks, and we did very well compared to the national average. But you got Lane Kiffin now, the throwing coach, if you want to call him that. But I think we're going to do just fine. 2 losses tops, and that would kill me even. But I'm thinking championship again, but we're going to run the ball 65, 75% of the time and throw it here and there until
Robert, you may have the Alabama Crimson Tide may end up having 2 losses before they even step onto the field in November. That's not how I see it.
Please explain this.
You're starting out right off the bat. Okay, let's talk about the personnel issue right now. Okay, you're losing Amari Cooper. You're losing the fact that who you're going to throw it to. That's fine. You got Lane Kiffin. Lane Kiffin is a genius. I give him that. But at the same time, when you're talking about these quarterbacks coming in, the A.J. McCarron, the guys that hadn't played before, but you know what? They got it done. They got it done because they were known as, hey, this was going to be the guy. They weren't one of 5 to where Nick Saban can't sleep at night, people. I don't think Nick Saban sleeps at night right now because he doesn't know which one of the 5. At least last year,
I think he's sleeping fine because he takes Sominex, man.
Maybe
what is
so.
that?
Maybe
what is that?
Sominex. Yeah, you just,
what is that, like a sleeping aid or something?
It's sleeping aid. He might need it because now he's got 5 guys to where, and listen, if they're all 7.5s, are they going to, and they can't stand out from each other. I watched the spring game and how I can take a look at all of those guys and know that no one's going to take that next step, maybe not even good enough. And it's not necessarily what Bama's going to bring, because Bama's going to bring some incredible talent. We know that. Nick Saban's the best recruiter in the history of the college football game. No one can ever deny that. That's what Nick Saban does. But the issue also bringing up is that he opens the season at a neutral site at Wisconsin. Let's say they go ahead and win that game. Then you're going to have to go on the road in Stanford to play Georgia. Then you're looking at Arkansas and at A&M. Those are 3 weeks in a row. Then, after that 3rd week of SEC play, which you get 3 up-and-coming schools, you're going to have to play Tennessee. And, yes, it is at home, but that's a team that's going to be coming off a bye. Then, oh, by the way, you got an open date to LSU. Then you got to go to Starkville for Mississippi State. And, oh, by the way, you got to go out to Jordan-Hare and play in that Iron Bowl. That's the reason why I see 5 losses. I see 4 regular season losses for the Alabama Crimson Tide. And you know where that 5th loss is going to be? In a bowl game, because that they are not going to be happy with playing in the Music City Bowl at that point. That's where I'm at. I'm Peter Burns, and I'll back
You're
it up.
smoking something, by the way.
ESPN, what's up?
You're smoking something, by the way.
Thank you. And that is the man of actual voice and reason, Booger McFarland, at SEC Booger. Phone lines are full, but if you want to try to hit us up on Twitter, at Peter Burns, ESPN, at SEC Booger. Booger and Burns in for Paul Finebaum.
Are you a...
With so much drama in the Paul Finebaum show. Peter Burns, Booger McFarland, trying to talk Booger off of the ledge of him saying Alabama's going to lose 5 games. It was Booger McFarland that said that earlier, folks.
Dude, listen. Hey, stand up like a man. Listen. There are a lot of things that you've said on this show so far. But when you said that Alabama was going to lose 5 games, I had a piece of gum and I was about to put in on during the commercial break. I dropped it because I was like, "Whoa, maybe I had a bad connection or something." So,
at Georgia, at Auburn, I see those 2 as being losses. Okay, I don't think that's a stretch. Can we at least agree that is within the realm of possibility?
It's in the realm. Both Georgia and Alabama are both going to be breaking in new quarterbacks. Auburn, same situation. So it's definitely in the realm of possibility. But that's 2 is still a long way from 5, PB.
Absolutely. Then you look at who knows whatever happens the first week of the year. But if Nick Saban is preparing, Nick Saban is unbelievable at preparing. So let's say he got a little bit of a heads up against Wisconsin. Then the issue is after you go to Athens, you got Arkansas, an up-and-coming team, at Texas A&M in a place that will be rocking, and then an upstart Tennessee team that's going to be coming off of a bye and going ahead and play. I think that's going to be Arkansas, A&M, and Tennessee. That's a bunch of coin flips right there. I think that they win. They're 85% favorite, but you're not telling me that they can't lose one of those games. Then LSU, you never know what the hell happens in that game. I think there could be 4 losses, and I think one of those losses come in a bowl game that's go ahead and get you 5. Now, Colton might want to disagree with me here on the Paul Finebaum Show. Colton, what's happening, man?
What's going on, man?
How you doing?
I just want to say that I'm a long-time listener, first-time caller. Unfortunately, wasn't on the show today, but I had to disagree with you. I'm going to give a shout-out to the biggest Alabama fan there is. That's my dad, Randy Ware. And I got one thing to say. Are you an idiot? Our second string is deep enough to roll with the boys in the SEC. We're deeper than anybody in the defense. We got the best front 7. And, hold on 1 second.
You got to turn the radio down, man. Come on, first time caller. You got to turn that radio down.
Quarterback coach in the nation. We got the best coach in the nation, and Nick Saban. And all I got to say is roll tide. And for the dude that was hating on Legend because he had called lately, kiss the rings, baby, because Bama is back. We're going to the Final Four, and that's it.
Kiss the rings. That's the best. Kiss the rings.
Thought I was going to get a Bohica in there, but kiss the rings. Make sure that it ends up happening. All right. We'll see it
now, Bernsey, to be fair, if you're going to beat Alabama, there's a method to the madness. One, you got to be able to stop the run. Okay, you have to be able to stop the running game. LSU has proven how to beat them. Now, they haven't always had the quarterback play. So when you look at their schedule this year, Ole Miss's defense, because Ole Miss had the number 1 scoring defense in America. Okay. Georgia, with everything that Jeremy Pruitt has there, Georgia and Ole Miss are going to have very, very good defenses. You think that John Chavis at A&M, who came from LSU, understands how to play Alabama. So in order to beat them, your defense is going to have to play outstanding, and you're going to have to minimize turnovers on the offensive side of the ball. So although I disagree with you with the 5 losses, I do think Alabama is going to be in a lot more close games this year because the lack of experience at the quarterback position is going to bring them back to the pack a little bit.
And here's the deal, and I will give this, and I give the credit to Nick Saban. If there was a coaching staff in the SEC that I say I need to win a close game, and I got Lane Kiffin and I've got Nick Saban in my back pocket, I probably feel as good at having that 1-2 punch as much as anyone. As much as anyone right now. But listen, I think a lot will be said come next week, Boog, when we're there in Birmingham for the SEC Media Days, right? Because I don't think Bama's going to be ranked second in the SEC West from the media. You think that's where they're going to end up?
Yeah, because Auburn. I think Auburn will wind up being 1. Bama will probably be 2. I think Ole Miss will come in 3, somewhere in there.
And then you still have an LSU. You've got an Arkansas. It's some incredible storylines that are coming up, and we're only a couple of days away from hearing some of those coaches. And speaking of hearing some of those coaches, we had Dan Mullen on the show earlier. Fantastic interview. You're going to want to hang out and chill to hear what Dan Mullen had to say because he's very curious, and he thinks he knows exactly where they're going to rank him. That coming up next on the Paul Finebaum Show.
Kiss the rings, baby.
Individuals. Geico presents Strange Savings Stories. Astronomers detected an interstellar transmission. It stated, Geico, 15 minutes could save you 15% or more. The implications were staggering. Was the cosmos telling us we could all save hundreds on car insurance with Geico? Or did their radar merely pick up a signal from the nearby Rufus and Clyde's morning show? We may never know.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
And now, for Geico's edition of Stuff Found in Your Car, we go inside your side door pocket.
Hello, yes, the crumpled receipt with gum in it. From your anniversary dinner, you sprang for expensive wine, your server was Beth. That dinner was a couple $100. Money you could get back if you switched to Geico and saved hundreds of dollars on your car insurance. I bet you'd save that receipt, frame it even. But really, where did I go wrong? Was it the corkage fee?
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. Visit geico.com today.